Well, you're right, O'Brien. This is the day that stakeholders in the Fourth Estate are reflecting on various issues surrounding the players in the sector, and I specifically mean journalists, and more importantly, they're discussing on how they can actually end violence and impunity against journalists. Now, of course, with me here is the Deputy CEO of Media Council of Kenya, an institution that, of course, has been casting its eyes on exactly on the sector in the country, and of course, he'll be shedding more light on exactly what has been happening in the sector. But before I get to him, O'Brien, very important statistics that I want to put across that as we speak right now, about 109 journalists have actually instances of violence and impunity against journalists have actually been reported. The latest, of course, that happened around the demonstrations that are actually happening in the country, about 25 of instances are actually recorded in the country. That tells you exactly what journalists in this country are facing. And Deputy CEO of Media Council of Kenya, Victor Bwire, is here to actually shed light on why this day is very important.
Thank you, colleague. One, that the International Day for Impunity and Crimes Against Journalists is marked on November every year. It's a global day that was set aside. And this day is to help journalists and the media sector and the country at large to review and look at the status of safety and protection of journalists, the work of journalists, and related. And like you mentioned, Kenya, we have one of the most progressive, as we are aware, laws that would then, from the eye, give thinking that Kenya is one of the most safest places journalists can work. But from the experience that what is happening, that while we have laws, while we have noticed the trends that is no longer the main government that has attacks journalists and harasses journalists, but we are seeing a huge increase in attacks against journalists.
Why is it so?
Largely from members of the public who are incited against, especially the political class, when they incite and mobilize and weaponize people against to believe that one media house is not for them or one media house does not support them, and what we see a lot of increase. So people are taking law into their hands to attack journalists simply because they have been mobilized. We are seeing the issue of criminal gangs, thieves, thugs, who then again also target journalists, not just necessarily because of their stories, but sometimes they expose what they are doing. Or two, journalists carry equipment like cameras, like watch that are very expensive. So people are targeting. And so the number of cases of physical attacks is more then followed by obviously digital, that a number of journalists belong to WhatsApp group, social media, and when you do a story, for example, that you exposed something in Kisumu County or nationally, then the political supporters then target you on the WhatsApp groups you belong to, on social media, start trolling you, vibes, bringing in your relatives and all that. So that is, and the biggest now becomes that leads to threats against journalists themselves in the sense of self-censorship. You fear doing particular stories because you think political supporters from a political group will attack you. And because most of you work in localized areas, most of our journalists work in the areas they come from. So people know you. So once you do a story, they will go and pick a photo of your mom, your relative, or a child in school and start putting them, like that, your dad is writing about the government, but look at how you look like. Shaming your family. And so that has but obviously there are also internal challenges. Like sometimes we have been talking about poor pay, but now it has reached a non-payment that journalists work for several months without being paid. If we are saying that content is the queen, we want people to come back to the media, we want professionalism is the queen. We must pay people well for them to enable them to do good content that then will bring back the viewers and readers. But that's not happening. So a number of journalists that has led to what now on the mental health issues, that a number of people are stressed because of non-payment. You work long hours. The work environment usually is so toxic and hostile. And so we see an increase also in mental health related issues around journalists, that a number of journalists have now to go through mental wellness and the rest. And you see now when somebody is going through a mental state, it also affects their productivity. And once the productivity, we are seeing very young journalists being declared redundant. And you see, when somebody declares you redundant, even getting another job becomes a problem. So
at the age of 30, someone is declaring you redundant. Of course, we know the effects of that. Victor, the question that begs is that this constitution, the constitution we have in this country, as you've rightly put it, is one of the most progressive across the globe. And of course, some of its clauses actually protect journalists. Why is it that we are still experiencing these problems?
The biggest problem is impunity, and that's why we are marking this day. Impunity. It's not that people don't know. If you read your constitution, away from Article 33, 34, 35, if you go to Article like 27, 28, they provide for labor laws, right to life, right to health, but people are just, they know prosecution is a problem, that cases that journalists are involved, prosecutors never take them seriously. They never push them. So there's a level of I'll injure Simon, nothing will happen to me. I'll break their camera, nothing will happen to me. So we saw yesterday only 2 days, a journalist was summoned by ATP and terrorism police unit in Garissa. National guy in Baringo spent the whole, he's still in cells up to today, and nothing happened, and they have not done anything. Even the lawyers, even we journalists, nobody's care. So the issue of impunity is the major problem.
At national level, the constitution of course has provisions that actually protect journalists, right? In this country, unfortunately, we only have about one county or two that have actually gone ahead and actually legislated laws county laws that actually protect journalists and access to information. What needs to be done so that then we can actually extend the process?
We must work together, and one of the things I've just talked about here, the Deputy Governor of Kisumu, that counties need county-based access to information laws. Already County Government Act of 2012, if you read largely from section 94, 95, it provides that counties must work with the media. They must allow journalists to do their work. But we now need a county-based access to information law. And what we are appealing to counties is that access to information does not mean that people are coming to write on corruption and loss of public. The access to information, if you use the word, it can help the county to share information about investment opportunities, climate change matters, weather changes, opportunities, so that it will be one of the areas to attract investors in your county. If you use the access to information law, became transparent in the manner you do, it will even help people to give you feedback where things are going wrong as a leadership of a county. You can then intervene. But if we refuse to pass some of these laws, it becomes difficult for you as a public leader to know, to get feedback, to involve the public in governance, and to show your county as a place where people can invest in.
The other argument, Victor, has been the issue of training. And I've heard several people saying that journalists of today are not like you guys. The way they actually practice journalism is not how it used to be practiced.